Ready? Fire! Blinding, right?
Get out of my way! Get out of my sight! Not this, you can't! Out this! This was an expected outcome.
Easy does it. Enemies over there. Throwing a light.
Get out of my way! Out this!
Ready? Fire!
Away! Awaiting orders. Let's hurry. Dodge this if you can. This was an expected outcome.
Coke Studio Pilot. Subscribe now.
Godilo, tame godilo, 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 tame godilo, godilo. Nathi je majama khali vaavta tajama evo hadno pravasi godilo. Godilo, tame godilo, 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 tame godilo, godilo. Nathi je majama khali vaavta tajama evo hadno pravasi godilo. Oh, kaathe si ja tu ja, dariye si ja tu ja.
जी हाँ
आप
गुड
तू जा गोतिलो तमे गोतिलो गोतिलो काठे सी जा तू जा जा दरिये सी जा तू जा काठे सी जा तू जा गोतिलो तमे गोतिलो गोतिलो ए वेवा दो जा भैये रेवा दो जा सही है वेवा दो હવે રેવા દો હવે નથી જે મજામાં ખાલી વાવટા ધજામાં એવો હાડનો પ્રવાસી ગોતીલો
Throwing a light orb.
Get out of my sight! Out this!
Ready? Fire! was a light rain. Don't let your guard down.
Nice. I won.
Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai is someone who's written more than 15 books on the topic of Chanakya. Who was Chanakya? He's considered one of the all-time greatest brains that this country has ever produced. The knowledge that he spread, his teachings have actually lived on years after he passed away. That's the greatness of that man. So imagine all that knowledge of Chanakya being boiled down to one book called the Chanakya Niti. And then imagine all the knowledge of that one book being boiled down to a basic podcast. That's what this episode of the Ranveer Show is. This is your personal mentorship session from Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. By the end of it, you're going to elevate your consciousness, you're going to elevate your mind, you're going to elevate your thought process, because you're going to get access to one of the nation's best minds, both in the form of Chanakya and Chanakya reincarnated, according to me, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. Enjoy the episode.
It's time to make some money.
Welcome to another very value-added episode of the Ranveer Show. They say that the smartest individual in the history of India was this person called Chanakya. And I say that one of the smartest men in India is this person called Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, sir,
Waiting orders.
who is also the modern-day expert on Chanakya. And many people consider you Chanakya Reborn. Also, that was the title of a video we did together. So the title of this episode of the Ranveer Show is again related to Chanakya. It's the top 5 learnings from the Chanakya Niti. So before we get into the actual learnings which will help people benefit, modern day hustlers benefit, I want to ask you a brief history of Chanakya and the Chanakya Niti.
So, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing me back into this particular show because I've enjoyed your show. There's so much that is so fulfilling for me when I'm in this particular studio, and I'm glad you're speaking on the topic which is my life commitment to, that is Chanakya and his Chanakya Niti.
Yes.
Coming back, everybody knows about Chanakya.
Like money.
There is so much we can learn from Chanakya. So I like to talk about two basic things. One is the story part of Chanakya, and the second is the strategy part of
There's an
Chanakya.
enemy up ahead.
So I think Chanakya lived in 3rd century BC. He was a kingmaker of Chandragupta Maurya. He defeated Alexander. Blah 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 blah. So everything is quite known, and there are so much content available on YouTube, etc. So you can watch it. But what I'm going to talk about the second part of it, which is his work being documented. So it is said that he wrote 2 books. One is called the Kautilya's Arthashastra, and the second one is called Chanakya Niti. The difference between these two is Kautilya Arthashastra has got 6,000 sutras or formulas of how to run a kingdom. So I would say it's almost like a Rajavidya, meant for the leaders.
Does it also apply to business?
It does. In fact, I've written quite a few books on application of Arthashastra into the real life, including business. The second book is called Chanakya Niti, and it's a book which consists around 350 odd sutras. So 350 odd versus 6,000, that's the difference. So scholars say that Arthashastra was written for the kings, the classes, while Chanakya Niti was written for the masses. And it is very practical in nature. It talks about how a person should live his daily life, what he should do. And it talks about a lot of aspects of human being, right from being a good student to actually being a good householder, how do you earn money ethically. It talks about also the spiritual side of it. It also talks about parenting and very practical tips on how to be careful in life, how to choose your friends, how to actually make sure that you are giving money, also donation to the right people, never to get fooled, etc., etc. So coming back, Chanakya Niti is definitely a book, but if you look at the two words, Chanakya and Niti, I would like to sum it up by saying that Chanakya was a person, of course, but Niti by itself has got a lot of meanings. Niti means policy. Niti means the way to go. Niti means strategy. Niti means plan. So if you look at the word Niti in Sanskrit, it got various meanings. So I would say Chanakya's planning, Chanakya's way of teaching, Chanakya's strategies, etc., etc. So I'm specifically talking about the book called Chanakya Niti, which was written by Chanakya many years ago. And I've been fortunate that I've also written a version of Chanakya's Niti in Radhakrishnan Pillai's explanation of it also.
Yeah. So what will a person gain from going through your book on Chanakya Niti, or just having information about, like, if they are at point A before reading it, at point B, what will they become?
Definitely there'll be benefits. It's like going to a school and you started attending your first standard, and after a year you got passed out to second standard. And you'll see the difference in you. Because Chanakya Niti helps you to think differently. So if you think differently, you do the same things differently.
You figure out better strategy or faster ways of doing it?
Absolutely. So I think Chanakya Niti is all about strategies, policies. So by learning Chanakya Niti, a lot of people for centuries have got benefited, and I'm sure you will. So let me give an example. One of my teachers used to tell me this, which is India's best-selling book? I said, okay. What a strange question. Actually, it's Chanakya Niti. Go anywhere, you'll find a version of Chanakya Niti. So you'll find it in a bookstall, you can find it there. Now coming back to my Chanakya Niti, how is it different from the others? So 650 sutras or formulas are still the same. But what happens is that in a lot of the books that we have is that the Sanskrit and the translate into English. But we have done something very different. We have given explanation of all of them in detail. So let me give an example, and then we'll talk about how it is going to benefit you from point A to point B. And of course, the 5 points that you should take away from this particular video. So let me start by saying that very simple sutra or strategy, be careful from 3 things. Okay. And it continues by saying, if you know how to use them, it will be beneficial. If you misuse them, they will finish you. Okay. So the first one is fire. So fire, you should know how to use it, because in every house there is fire, right? So you warm up the house, we require for cooking. That's why when you enter a house also, it's called house warming. But if you don't know how to, manage that fire, it can burn up your whole house. So be careful from fire, but it can help you or destroy. Second is called king. King. You're too close to a king, that's good, but if you misuse the king, they will destroy you. So people, who are around powerful people should be careful that they may suddenly tell you, okay, you're promoted and you're going to take charge of this particular kingdom. So a king can make you a king. The thing is that if you take the king for granted, they will finish off a career and your life once and for all. So powerful, they can destroy or make you. Chanakya says the third thing also, snake. Be careful from a snake, I understand. It can actually help you in what way? Are you aware of it? That actually in the army, people are trained to catch snakes. You know what is the logic? Because let's say in the army, you're in the jungle, and especially when you're on a mission and you're going to a deep jungle, you feel hungry, right? So they will look around and probably they will find a fruit or a flower. The fruit may look good, very exotic, but you're not sure whether it's poisonous. But you're feeling hungry, you need to survive. So there could be a lot of things around, but the beautiful part is that every particular jungle will have a snake. So the snake can bite you, that's a danger. So you have to be careful of the snake. But do you know, if you know how to catch the snake and maybe just take away the poisonous part of it, the whole snake body you can actually eat. So it actually becomes like a survival in the jungle. I'm not here saying that be snake eaters, But the logic is that be careful from a snake, but it can be also useful to you in the most difficult situations. Practical? So Chanakya says 3 things. Be careful from fire, king, and a snake. Now, look at this. You can actually practically apply it. So when you are in front of your bosses, you said, okay, I'm close to him, it will give me warmth. But don't cross that line, that Lakshman Rekha. Same thing. It all goes to fire, etc., etc. So I'm just giving one example out of 350 ideas about how you can be successful and careful in life. In fact, to be successful, you should be careful in life and very careful.
So coming to the 5 top learnings of the Chanakya.
Okay. So I think every 350 sutras are all top by itself, but they're limited to 5.
Sutra is what? It's like like what is a sutra?
Sutra is like a formula.
Okay.
So for example, E is equal to MC square.
Got it. So Chanakya wrote 350 formulas for life.
Absolutely, you got it right. And they can be applied everywhere.
Okay. So what would be like your top 5 sutras?
So I will start with something which is very close to my heart, which is on parenting. Okay. Because I have 2 lovely kids. But just because the kids are good doesn't mean you are a good parent. So I always look at one of the very basic formulas, sutras, that Chanakya spoke about parenting in a very simple line. He says, for the first 5 years, love the child. Next 10 years, discipline him. And after that, consider them your friends.
See that?
Formula, simple 3-liners. So let me explain that to you. So when a child is small, it's very lovely, cute. So you can only love the child, Suppose you got a latest mobile and you just banged it. You can't do anything about it. Just love the child unconditionally. But the moment the child is 5 years old and upwards, its intellect starts developing. And it's a very dangerous trend today happening because a lot of parents just allow children to do anything that they want. And actually that's bad parenting. What Chanakya says is that now you need to actually use discipline. And discipline doesn't mean beating, okay? The ability to say no is also important for a parent. Because if you say yes, 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 he will never understand what is no, and that can actually lead to failures in life. So discipline the child for the next 10 years. And after that, consider him or her as your friend. The biggest problem that we have, especially in a country like India, the child may be 70 years old. The 90-year-old parent is still alive. After 15 years, you are fully grown. Of course, life experiences may not be that big, yet you're a full adult. So look at this formula which has helped me. So first one is that love your child 5 years, discipline 10 years, and then consider them your friends. I think full parenting at the best level for 15 years. Now coming back to the 5 points that you're talking about. I like to summarize from all the experiences that I have gone through by reading, studying Chanakya. The first niti, the first Chanakya niti to have a successful life is to have a purpose in life. A lot of people, live like a common person. Probably they're highly educated, but you look at them, they're very dull and they don't even have a reason to get up. So they just pull themselves out and say that, okay, I studied, now I need to get a job. Okay, now I got a job, I need to get married. Okay, I need to get married, I need to have children. Okay, that's good, but that's normal. Successful people do all these also, but they have something beyond. So the first question is that if you want to really be successful in life, ask yourself, what's your purpose? What is that for you, for which you're ready to live and if necessary die? And it's not easy, I understand that. So I think there is a saying that the only purpose of a person's life is to have a purpose. And everything falls into place. So I think, friends, Chanakya says what we call in modern day settings called as goal setting exercise. So do something with yourself, sit down. And in our ancient old tradition, it's called finding your swadharma. What am I born for? It's a very deep question. But if you actually go introspect and spend time with yourself, meditate, believe me, the answer will come to you. So I remember how I found my purpose in my life. Believe me, I was at Kailash Mansarovar, live in the Himalayas. And when I saw the Kailash mountain first, I've been always struggling, what are the purpose of my life? The moment I saw Kailash mountain, it hit to me as if somebody was speaking to me, and saying that please give your life to the study of Chanakya and his Arthashastra. I just told my wife Sureka saying that, I don't know whether it's a sound or it's a feeling, but I feel, I should dedicate my life to the promotion and the studies of Chanakya and Arthashastra. She kept it very quietly to herself, but whenever I have a problem, she always told me, remember, you got a purpose in your life. People ask me, how are you so full of energy? I've written 15 books. I'm still writing 8 books on Chanakya. Got involved in 2 movies. I've been doing a lot of podcasts. I'm teaching in universities across the globe. Every single day, I'm at least giving 1 or 2 lectures or interviews or something like that. So maybe how do you keep it going? And saying that I have a purpose in my life. I've discovered it long ago. A lot of people, even at the end of their life, they don't have a purpose. So as they say, I was dead at 28 and I got buried at 80.
Wow.
So think about it.
What is their state of mind?
I think they're just dragging on. They're just dragging on, saying that, maybe I have to just leave and do something very normal. So I'm not saying that, people have to live a normal life. You can actually live an extraordinary life, not just an ordinary. First Chanakya Niti is to have a purpose, discover the purpose. Go inside, get it. Gandhiji got it. Well, he was pushed out from a train. Maybe that instance, it comes where you say, this is for me. It could be actually saving a girl child. For everybody, it could be different, It could be in sports. For you, it could be YouTube and just broadcasting it day in and day out. But if you have a purpose for which you will actually get up every day morning, and as APJ Abdul Kalam sir said, dreams are not that what you see when you're sleeping, but dreams are those that don't allow you to sleep. Formula number 1, Chanakya Niti.
Even in daily life in our office, I've seen that the best performers who've been with the organization for more than a year and a half, 2 years now, are the guys who wake up in the morning with that intention of okay, today I'm just going to create. Today I'm just going to add value. It's that. The purpose can be as simple as just that also.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, I'm going to take over the world, or, I'm going to make this mass change in the world. It can be little things.
Absolutely.
So, but you should put your mind on that one thing.
And it's all about that one thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 100 purposes. You need to have that one.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it becomes easy. I found that one Chanakya. That's enough.
Yeah.
Many people tell me also, Ranveer, that, why don't you now write your next book on maybe Ramayana?
Yeah.
Or maybe something else. I said, why? If something is working right, why change it? In fact, it has been mathematically proven. It's called the game theory. If you're already successful, don't be stupid to change it. So it's doing well. People, what they do is that they already found their purpose. They say, I have a doubt. Let me go to the other one and the other one. Finally, you will not be there in the first stage also. So it's like, digging a well everywhere and finding no water.
Yeah.
So it's very important, as you rightly pointed out, every day if you want to create a video, and that's your purpose.
We've had kids who have worked in the organization with that thing of, no, I want more, or everything's too slow, or maybe I'll be happy somewhere else. And they go there, a mess gets created there, and then they land up exactly without any water anywhere.
Exactly.
So again, as a co-founder of an organization also, you see all these stories happening in front of you. Through kids you have groomed, even if you've not made those mistakes, you see people making these mistakes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so go on with the Chanakya.
No, in fact, that actually connects to my second point.
Yeah.
Okay, the second Chanakya Niti. Desire to learn. So you got a purpose. Let's say I got a purpose that I want to maybe start an NGO that will going to feed, hundreds of children. But I am actually associated with an NGO called as the Roti Bank. So Roti Bank is a very interesting phenomenon where actually they are feeding the street children. And they're actually doing it almost like 1 million children now over a period of time. But the thing is that if I have a purpose, that's the first step. I don't know how the process works. So if I'm going to be a cricketer or a sportsman or a YouTuber for that particular matter, I said, okay, I have found a purpose, but I can't just jump into it, right? So I need to have a desire to learn, formally or informally. So what people do is that go and join a course. There are formal things. So for example, you want to play cricket and you found a purpose in life, you still require a coach. So go and join a cricket academy or a film academy or whatever, or read books. I mean, or see YouTube videos. I think this generation has got the advantage of actually getting knowledge free.
Yeah.
But you should be a student who says, I'm a beginner. And even if you are an expert, you still should have a desire to learn. Because even at the top, there is something more to learn. The thing is that have a purpose. The second is desire to learn. And it can be multiple ways of learning. Digital, formal, informal, through books, through cinemas.
Through people.
Through people conversations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm learning from you also.
So again, the big reason we started the podcast was for this exactly. That yes, I'll create content, but at the same time, through each conversation on a personal level, I'm learning a lot, which then I can put out on my Hindi channel as well later.
Excellent. So see, you have a purpose, you have a desire to learn, and you feel nice and more creative when you have a desire to learn. So you're saying, okay, there is something more, a different way of creating it.
Yes,
so you learn from experts. The third point is also something connected, and it's called having elders with you. And the Sanskrit word for that is called Vriddha Sanyoga. So one is purpose, second desire to learn. But whom do you learn from? Learn only from experts. Okay. Now please understand this. Let us put life into 3 levels. Okay. So let's say you're at level 5. Okay. There could be people who are at level 3. There could be people who are at level 5. And there could be people who are at level 10. So whom do you learn from? People say, I'm learning from everybody. Okay, that's a nice desire to learn from everybody. But the reality is that, let's say you're at level 5 of knowledge and experience, and there is somebody who's at level 2 or 3 who comes to you. Actually, you end up teaching that person. Okay? And whatever he or she says, it's an input, but that's not actually an expert advice. If you are at level 5 and the other person is also at level 5, you are actually equal friends. You can discuss with each other, sharing. The Chanakya says no. Vriddha Sanyoga is those people who are at level 10. So let's say you have a 50 crore company. You can have friends who are also at 50 crores. There are people who have just startups maybe at 10 crores. So you actually land up teaching the 10 crore guy how to be a 50 crore guy. And you're discussing common problems with the other friend who's at 50 crores. But Vriddha Sanyoga is actually associating yourself with a 100 crore guy. So then what happens is basically when you're surrounded with such people, automatically you raise your bar from A to B without any efforts. So let's say in a week I'm spending at least 4 hours with people who are more experienced than me. Just spend time and don't even do anything, just watch them. And you'll be surprised, since he's already at 100 crore and you're at 50 crore, let's say, as a turnover of a company, just watch them, listen to the discussions. Without your own knowledge, you actually turn around your company to 60 or 70 crores. And it's a very easy way of actually being successful by being around those people who are more successful than you.
Yeah.
And when they say something, they're actually guiding you to actually break your barrier and go to the next level, go to the next orbit. So think about this. First is purpose, desire to learn, and learning from experts. And here is a warning. Many people actually get misled by 2 terms, opinion and expert advice. So many people, when they give opinions, you think that's an advice. It is not an advice. It is just an opinion. It's a person who doesn't know anything, who feels कि मुझे भी लगता है. A lot of market researchers get it wrong there. So there was a common man and saying, what do you think the product will do well or no? So they may give a data. But the real insight is by those people who are telling you this will work, and you don't have to go to statistical data. So if you just go and ask Bill Gates how to create a successful business, you don't have to just ask one Bill Gates, right? Not 20 people who are startups. Startups are also important. So please understand that expert advice is what is Vriddha Sanyoga. So if you are already doing YouTube, would you like to learn from a person who's already maybe 10 times bigger than you? Okay, so here is an advice which I read. It's a very powerful, sweet little advice. It says, never take an advice from somebody who is not an expert. This is our advice. So if you want to take an advice, only take it from an expert. So maybe they are costly. Maybe to meet that particular person, it will be delayed. So suppose you have to go and meet Bill Gates. Hoga.
I feel like in the modern day, so it's not about meeting the person, because any successful person has the information available all the time.
Absolutely.
That's the power of the internet. If you search for it, it will land up in your hand.
Exactly. Make sure he is better and higher than that.
Yeah. Do podcasts, do internet videos,
Yes.
read books. But 2020, finding information and finding mentorship from these people is not difficult.
Yes.
I genuinely feel that. Anyway, go on.
The fourth one, which actually Chanakya did, it's create institutions. People don't understand. Okay? Usually what happens is that when people start, it's always a one-man show or a one-woman show, whatever. It's all about you. But as you go, you reach a particular point, you know, I can't go higher without a team around me. So, you know, and individually you may be good, but the next scale up happens when you do everything into a process system. So that's when you start building teams, companies, institutions. Otherwise, what will happen is you're always going to build as a one person. But, you know, it's like, you know, being a good actor and actually creating a production company. That's where the scale happens. So a production company is going to last beyond you. And as an actor, you may have a time limit to your performance and this. Those smarter guys, what did Chanakya do? He created Chandragupta Maurya, but he also created systems and processes for the future Chandragupta Mauryas. Because if you don't do that, what will happen exactly? That it will die with you. So I think it's very important to create institutions. So Chanakya created a kingdom along with a king. Two different things. One is creating a king, but it's also creating a kingdom. Now we come to the fifth and the final point, and that is very important. Probably we should practice it more often. It is called documentation. Documentation in various forms. It could be written, it could be audio or video. See, what happens is that we had a habit which probably is not too much there in today's generation. It's called diary writing. So every day what you learn, write it down. And you'll be surprised when you do it every day. Let's say in a year you actually look at a diary, 365 days you've written something. You said, wow. I'll tell you two things about successful people. When they write it themselves, okay, they're remembered after they are gone. Two things. Chanakya himself wrote all his strategies. Imagine if he had not written, there would have been a great person, but nobody knows what was happening in his mind. In fact, if you look at all the great gurus, and we're talking about the book Autobiography of Yogi, written by him, he's not there. But Paramahansa Yogananda's book is documented. All religions of the world are documented. Do you know, this year we are actually celebrating 550th year of Guru Nanak Ji's birthday, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birthday. How many of you are aware that if you go to any Gurudwara, they actually worship an image? I mean, what is that? Are you aware of this?
It's the Gurbani, his book. No?
It's book. And it's actually the notes that Guru Nanak Ji used to write every day. So finally the other gurus and all actually started adding. So every learning he wrote it down. And what happened to the 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji? He said from now onwards there will be no physical Guru, the book will be the Guru. Chanakya had not done the Arthashastra or Chanakya Niti, but lost his wisdom. So it's very important, my dear friends, please write a book.
Yeah.
He will also write a book on being India's #1 YouTuber. So definitely say. So looking at these particular points, you'll start realizing that life is about actually creating a legacy after you are gone. Do you want to be successful only for a short time, or you want to be successful forever? To that extent, that generations to come will actually remember you. So these are the 5 things. Purpose, desire to learn, learning from experts, building an institution, and finally the 5th point, document it into a process that others can benefit after you're gone.
Crazy. So this was beautiful, but I have one burning question in my mind which I have to get out, which is that because you studied Chanakya in so much detail, what do you think that Chanakya was thinking about on his deathbed?
Now this is a question a lot of people ask me. In fact, to the extent, how did Chanakya die?
Yeah, that as well.
So let me tell you, Chanakya had something called as Ichha Maran. You know what is Ichha Maran?
You can choose when you want to die.
Exactly. Now Chanakya was probably very successful in his life, and I think for me is an ideal because he never had any regrets. There are 2 kinds of people who regret. Number 1 is that people who don't know what to do in their life or never did anything in their life. No, right? So I'm just lying on my deathbed and it is just dragging around like anybody else. I did not do anything. That's the first type of regret, not doing anything, contributing anything. The second is those people who had a desire but never got it fulfilled in their lifetime. That's also a regret. I started something but I could not complete it. But Chanakya actually was different because he completed both of them and had no regrets. Number 1, he had a purpose in his life, and that was to create a whole empire called the Bharatvarsha. He created that. what is important that he did it in his lifetime before dying. Not many people are lucky. People have goals and they say, I will sow a seed and maybe my grandchildren will enjoy it. Of course, the grandchildren should enjoy it. But why not you in your own lifetime? So if you think what was Chanakya thinking during his deathbed, probably saying that thank you for everything. Now I'm going to live very successfully and peacefully. If on deathbed you can say I have no regrets, I have lived my life well, I think that's called a successful life.
Thank you, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. So,
Thank you.
Another gorgeous podcast with you. Obviously, guys, I'll be linking all of Sir's books on Chanakya and his latest book on the Chanakya Niti down below. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you follow Sir on all his handles. And until next time, from Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai and Ranveer Alawade.
Thank you, sir.
Shadow of the moon. Too slow.
I promise you that the amount of time that you spend on this episode is going to be worth your time, especially if you're someone who always wants to get to that next level in life, especially if you're someone who's aiming for big money, big fame, big success in life. The reason I say that is because neuroscience as a subject, the study of the nervous system, the study of the brain, is one of those pieces of biology that you can apply in everyday life and improve your productivity, improve your efficiency, improve your experience of life, and even make your brain a lot more chilled out. That's what this particular conversation is about. It's an introduction to neuroscience from a very practical, day-to-day perspective. And I promise you this is that one conversation that will stay with you long after you listen to it. All of the TRS conversations are like that, but this one stands out. Remember to follow TRS on Spotify. Spotify exclusively. Which means that every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else. And this is Dr. Sid Warrior, who I'm sure many of you know already because of all the podcasts he's done on the internet. But this is the first time he's on the radio. And I honestly feel we found a TRS all-star. This is the first conversation that we recorded on this particular day of shoots. We ended up recording 3 more podcasts after this. That was the power of this podcast. So now let me drop a bomb on you and let you enjoy this legendary conversation in peace. Dr. Sid Warrior, welcome to the Ranveer Show.
Thank you for having me, man. Super excited to be here.
Been waiting to do this with you for a year, and as I was telling you right before the recording started, India hasn't been ready for a wave of science until now. It's probably not ready even yet. And over the next 1 year, people are going to open up to how many science-based hacks they can use in their daily life. So you're a neurologist in Bombay. Firstly, what does a neurologist do?
Every part of your body is controlled by your nerves, and all that is coming from your brain. I take care of that whole system. So from your brain to your spinal cord to your nerves to your muscles, this entire system comes under neurology. So a neurologist looks after this whole system.
How did you figure you wanted to get into this?
It's a long story. When I was in school, I realized that I liked human behavior, and I initially wanted to do psychology. Ended up doing medicine instead. I took up medicine, MBBS. Then thought I should do psychiatry because that is the closest thing to human behavior. But realized that I wanted to study the whole body. So ended up doing general medicine, that is MD medicine. And then it was very obvious that I wanted to do neurology because then that is, you're sort of approaching the same thing from the hardware perspective.
Got it.
So understanding human behavior, but you're going around trying to understand the networks.
Got it. So yeah, for the sake of one of the apps that I'm building, it's called Level that I'm doing with Harshil Kara. It's my next big startup mission in life. We had to go deep into the subject of psychology. So I had to read a little bit of psychology. I had to figure out what the logic behind therapy is. And I love that you said hardware versus software. Therapists, psychologists, they look at things from a beautiful software perspective. In terms of who is this human being? How is their mind working? And I'm sure they have knowledge about the hardware. But you or Dr. Andrew Huberman, people like a man crush, I think a common man crush is.
Yeah, I love him.
And people should totally check out Dr. Huberman. He's a neuroscientist in US, and he runs one of the best podcasts I have heard in my life in general.
Very crisp, very detailed.
Yeah. But what I picked up from him was that you can actually hack your own hardware, you can hack your own mind to make it perform even more, to make it perform at a higher degree.
I love that you said therapy because what therapy does is basically outsourcing one role of the brain to someone else.
What is that role?
Which is creating a story.
Okay.
So when your brain is functioning fine, everything that you are experiencing in the world around you, your brain is constantly creating a story to make yourself feel good, and it empowers you to deal with those circumstances. In mental health problems, one of the drawbacks of the mental health is that your brain cannot process information as well as it could have otherwise.
Okay.
So therapy basically helps you see the world differently. So you're literally outsourcing a part of the job that your brain is supposed to do to somebody else, to a professional.
Going deeper into this concept of therapy, I wasn't one of those people who was against therapy, but I wasn't one of those people who promoted therapy as well. After studying the concept of therapy and hearing, people say that even if you think you're okay, they say that everyone needs therapy. So I went deeper into that statement. What is the logic behind it? And I realized a lot of therapy is being asked the right questions and realizing things from within yourself, realizing things through the right questions.
Absolutely. There are so many ways in which we lie to ourselves. Because we are constantly adjusting. Think of it as surfing. You are not aware of all the muscles in your legs and how your balance is constantly shifting, but you still want to remain erect. You don't want to fall down. Similarly in life, every small thing that happens to you, dost ne kuch bol diya, your mom said something, you are constantly adjusting your balance in order to still remain erect, to still remain confident and comfortable. Sometimes those are small lies or small biases that we have. If you're not able to do that, you'll fall. And if you keep falling down, you lose confidence in yourself that you cannot maintain balance. And then you go into a spiral. So this is like a very basic way of understanding mental health. So therapy is you're reaching out to somebody and saying, tell me again how I can maintain balance. So they teach you.
Are there lifestyle factors that can actually be a substitute for therapy from a hardware perspective?
Absolutely. Because, again, coming back to the example of surfing, if your legs are strong, balancing is easier. It's not just surfing is not just a state of mind. You need to work out your legs. You need to work your back muscles. I have a friend who does air pistol shooting, and he spends 2 hours every day just working on his lower back, because apparently you need that kind of tone in your muscles to just stand straight and pull the trigger. Similarly, in mental health, a lot of your basic hardware requirements should be taken care of, which is sleep and diet and exercise. If your hardware is proper, suddenly the software seems to be working much better.
Yeah, so we used to get a lot of criticism for this early on when I feel the neuroscience wave hadn't hit the general public, where we used to promote the idea of mental fitness. So what is that? That was a sort of a cute, sellable term that I developed from my own experience, because I'd see my friends around me who didn't take care of their physical health, didn't go to the gym, ate whatever they wanted, smoked a lot, drank a lot. I also drank a lot, but I'd balance it out, with a lot of working out, lots of cardio, great sleep, lots of meditation, which I also feel is one of those hardware polishing tools. And I'd always see that. Definitely I had my ups and downs with mental health, but I was able to pull myself out of those downs much more easily. And that's why in I think 2017, 2018, when we needed a shift from creating just fitness videos, I thought let's create mental fitness videos. I don't know what that is. It's definitely not mental health, but it's something that I can't put into words. And it was actually this, hacking your own hardware so that the software works beautifully.
Absolutely. It's, think of going on a road trip, right? You know how to drive a car, you know where to go. But the better your car is, the more oiled the engines are, the more petrol you have, the more you know how to maintain your car, the better your road trip will be. Because who knows at what point you'll get a puncture, something will happen. So you need to know, A, you need to maintain it, and B, if something goes wrong, you need to know how to fix it. So that is the way that I look at it, that you have to maintain your body in order to maintain your mind.
I'll join you.
Because otherwise you're just adding more and more stress to your mind to compensate for the lack of physical fitness.
Also, I think what most people fail to understand, especially when they're in college, is that life isn't easy. Like when you actually head into life, you are challenged, you are met with disappointment, you are met with breakups, slaps, punch downs, and you sort of need to keep your mind ready for those things. People who have a weak hardware, a weak level of mental fitness sometimes get hit by life and then are not able to get up. Do you observe this?
You're just circling on a very cool definition of health. So when you said mental health versus mental fitness, when you go to the gym and you have to say lift 100 kgs on the first day, it's not going to happen because your muscles are not used to it. But you can gradually build yourself up to lifting 100 kg and it's okay. Similarly in mental health, the ability to respond to a sudden stress is what mental health is.
You're no match for me.
When you are in a vacation, you're surrounded by friends, family, everything is good, you're mentally healthy. But are you really mentally healthy? When there is a stress, can your brain take it?
No.
That is what defines mental health. So all this what you're trying to do when you say go for a run every day. Why? You don't need to run. But you're preparing your heart for that time when you might need that extra energy. You're preparing your muscles. Similarly, mental health is you're preparing your mind for whatever time you might need it. For me, that is mental health. You're increasing reserve.
You know what I find fucked up a little bit? Kids these days, Gen Z, intelligent, okay? Crazy intelligent because they've had access to it. But they so often kind of voice out, oh, it affected my mental health so badly. My mental health has gone for a toss. Without understanding this other side of mental health. That, life is difficult. And, as you grow older, there are two gifts that enter your life. The first is the gift of calm. You keep getting calmer with age because you realize, battles, they happened now, then they'll happen now, they're going to happen later. So you have a sense of calm. The second gift is that if you're lucky, you often discover these hardware polishing tools. Rather than addressing just your mental health and saying, oh, my mental health has gone for a toss, why not change that sentence in your life? Why not change that thought and say, my mental health isn't in the best place, but let's, from today, focus on action, focus on working towards my mental fitness, which could even begin with, let's just focus on sleep, getting great quality sleep, because sleep has power. And I'd love for you to, one, explain the biology behind everything that I said, and probably towards the end, highlight specifically the biology of sleep.
The thing what you said about kids saying my mental health is fucked up, on the one hand, I love it that there is more awareness about mental health. It's great that people are aware that mental health is something that can get fucked up because we have gone a full circle. Earlier, the thing was don't talk about mental health at all. It's a taboo. And now we've gone to the other extreme where everything is mental health.
Yeah.
Every small stressor is, I'm not mentally fit to do this anymore. In a way, great for the conversation. Spread the word, but at the same time the pendulum has to swing back towards the middle again, where you realize that mental health is everything. Nothing is not mental health. You going for a run is mental health. You eating that bag of chips is mental health. Everything affects your brain. So there is nothing outside of the mental health scheme. The important thing about sleep is that sleep is when your brain takes care of itself. Think about this, the moment you wake up, the doors and windows are open. Everything in the world is entering your conscious self, and most of your energy is just spent in creating that story. How to deal with this? Right now, I'm here talking to you. Everything that you're saying is input. I have to deal with what you're talking about, the visualization that you're creating. When I'm sleeping, the outside world is cut off. Now my brain has time to process it. All those neurons that had been activated, वो सब क्या करे, किधर जाए? So now they will form new connections, they'll form new ideas, and then you might wake up with thoughts that you've not had before. And another thing is, there is a cleanup process that happens. So there is something called as the glymphatic system, which is essentially the garbage removal system of the brain.
Got it.
That is active in sleep.
Your brain shits in sleep.
Brain shits in sleep.
Okay.
And if you don't sleep, you're basically constipated. And that kind of accumulates. So there is a toxin accumulation that happens over many years, which is one of the things that they say leads to Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So it's very, very important that you get good sleep.
I'm tripping out a little bit on you, dude. I'm really enjoying this podcast. For real. Like, I knew it'll go down this path, but you're answering so many of the things I realized in my mid-20s, late 20s, things that I battled with in my early 20s, in my teenage. And I'm so glad that teenagers of today can just get access to this information, bro.
You know what? I don't think information is the problem anymore. I think it is about developing the state of mind where all that information can stick. That is the challenge today. Retention, appreciation of what you have. 500 years ago, we were living in an age of the problem was access to information. But now there is an excess of information available. Information is no longer the problem. The problem is, what do we do with all this? So then you might equate something very useful with something not useful and say, dono YouTube pe hai. Kya hi farak hai?
Flower technique.
We have a common friend, my brother Raj Shamani. I'm sure you've been on his podcast as
yes.
well, right? Raj Shamani and myself, around the beginning of this year, we were creating motivational reels on Instagram.
Right.
And we were getting heavily criticized after a point. How dare you spread toxic positivity? How dare you spread hustle culture? We weren't. Both of us have come up the hard way. We're both self-made dudes. We've really kind of worked our way to the top, and we're sharing what we've learned over the years. Now, if you are aggressive about reaching the top, there is a certain level of aggression you need at the bottom also. And those were the things we were trying to put out in the world. Keeping this in mind, I want to highlight this one podcast I found on Spotify around the same time. So the podcast is called Your Mentally Podcast, run by teenagers. Love it. Love it for the same reason you love it. That mental health is being spoken about so much. But they're speaking about it a lot from the software perspective, which is also okay. Almost no episode, at least early on, was addressing the hardware side of it. It was addressing mental fitness, or what we call mental toughness, which you hear the superstars of the world speak. Be it David Goggins, be it Joe Rogan, be it Kevin Hart, be it Indra Nooyi, be it the CEO we've had of Radhika, be it my 200th recording. Everyone's highlighted mental fitness, mental toughness. What I love about this show is that they're spreading knowledge and they're curious to learn more. And the teenagers, I wasn't thinking like this when I was a teenager. Incredible. But what I learned later on in life is that when you're going very deep into a subject, it's also wise to take a step back and see it from another lens. Definitely see it from the lens of modern day therapists, but also see it from the lens of modern day neurologists, the hardware of the mind. And I do recommend the listeners go check out this podcast to understand the software side of things. But I want to highlight the hardware side. For example, let me read out some of the early topics. Okay? Anxiety and teenagers, teen relationships and infatuation, insomnia and sleep cycles, gaming and mental health, dysfunctional families, gaslighting, toxic positivity. The episode I'd heard at that time. And they had said, oh, there are the Instagram influencers who spread toxic. And it was obvious that they were talking about Raj Shamani and myself. But you're 19 years old. Life is going to hit you in many ways over the next 10 years. Your perspectives are going to change. You're going to completely be a different person by the time you're 22. By the time you're 25, you're going to be a third kind of person. 29, fourth kind of person. So, over the course of these years, from the age of 18 to 28, I have gotten very deep into the
As the Buddha once wisely shared, you will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger. But how do we attain such inner tranquility in the face of life's challenges? In the realm of timeless wisdom, we explore a lesson that invites us to act as if nothing bothers us. Join us as we delve into the profound teachings of Buddhism and embark on a journey toward inner serenity. Principle 1. Listen twice as much as you speak. Our first lesson delves deep into the transformative power of listening. This isn't just about hearing words, but about truly understanding the essence behind them. Buddha once beautifully articulated this concept, saying, "To understand everything is to forgive everything." This profound statement highlights the deep connection between understanding and compassion. When we listen more and speak less, we embark on a journey of greater empathy and comprehension. It's about actively engaging with the world around us, not just passively hearing it. By doing so, we allow ourselves to truly connect with the emotions, thoughts, and experiences of others. This practice opens our hearts to the intricate tapestries of human experience, weaving a bond of understanding that transcends mere words. Moreover, listening more than we speak doesn't diminish our voice. Instead, it enhances the quality of our interactions. When we do speak, our words are more thoughtful, informed, and resonant. They come from a place of deep understanding, not just superficial acquaintance with the subject. This art of listening extends beyond personal conversations. It involves listening to the world around us, to nature, to silence, to the unspoken words of those who may not have a voice. In doing so, we develop a broader perspective of the world, a panorama of diverse viewpoints and experiences. This not only enriches our understanding, but also fosters a sense of inner peace and wisdom. By listening twice as much as we speak, we unlock a universe of understanding. We learn to perceive the unspoken, to empathize with the unheard, and to connect with the unseen. This opens doors to deeper connections, not just with others, but also with ourselves. It is through this profound listening that we begin to understand the intricacies of life, the subtleties of human emotion, and the profound truths that govern our existence. As we listen, we grow in understanding, in compassion, and in wisdom. Principle 2. Don't allow the comments and attitudes of others control your life. Imagine your life as a unique journey, like an adventurous hike through a beautiful forest. Along this path, you come across people who have their own opinions and attitudes, much like different signposts or directions in that forest. Now, Buddha, who was known for his profound wisdom, once shared this guidance. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. What does this mean? It means that your focus should be on the now. Just like when you're hiking, you pay attention to the trail you're on. The lesson here is about finding your own way on your life's path, without getting lost in the thoughts and judgments of others. You see, sometimes people may have their own ideas about what you should do, or they might have comments about your choices. While it's natural to consider advice, it's equally important to remember that your journey is yours to navigate. Just like you wouldn't let someone else choose your hiking path for you, don't let others decide your life's direction. This lesson encourages you to follow your own heart and values, to stay true to who you are, and to make choices that resonate with your inner wisdom. By doing so, you remain the captain of your own life, charting a course that feels right to you, regardless of what others might say or think. It's about finding your own unique path and walking it with confidence and authenticity. Principle 3. Be ready to accept the worst. Life is like a winding river, sometimes calm and other times turbulent. The Buddha, with his profound wisdom, once shared a powerful insight. Pain is certain, suffering is optional. What does this mean? It means that while we can't escape life's challenges and difficulties, we have the power to choose how we respond to them. Imagine life as a series of waves, each one representing a different situation or problem. Some waves are small, like minor inconveniences, while others can be towering giants, like significant setbacks or losses. Now here's the key: accepting the worst doesn't mean expecting the worst all the time or living in constant fear. It means being prepared for those challenging moments that inevitably come our way. Think of it as having a life jacket on a boat. We hope we won't need it, but it's there just in case. When we are mentally prepared to accept the worst, we become like that life jacket for our minds. We don't let fear of the unknown or the fear of failure control us. Acceptance is like a shield that protects us from the sharp arrows of suffering. When life throws its challenges at us, as it often does, our acceptance acts as a buffer. We may feel pain, but we don't add unnecessary suffering by resisting what's happening or dwelling on what went wrong. Acceptance is not a surrender to defeat. It's a recognition of reality. It's acknowledging that just as the river has its twists and turns, life has its ups and downs. By embracing this truth, we find inner peace even in the face of adversity. So, in practical terms, being ready to accept the worst means cultivating resilience and inner strength. It means understanding that setbacks are part of the journey and they can lead to growth and wisdom. It means facing life's challenges with equanimity, knowing that you have the power to navigate the waters, no matter how rough they may become. By being ready to accept the worst,